Well, we were going to be running the KCBS competition this coming weekend. That competition is over 5 hours away, and at the end of last week, the truck decided to start throwing a code. Now, I'm certainly not a diesel mechanic, and the earliest I can get it into the shop to get it checked out to make sure nothing's bad wrong is Tuesday, which means we're probably not making that competition, which I really wanted to use as the tune-up for the Royal, which would then be the tune-up for the Jack. But we'll figure that out later. Right now, it's time to cook chicken. Don't have the budget right now to compete every weekend. Don't have the time to compete every weekend. But I can usually cook one meat on the char griller. I was really happy with my chicken legs 2 weeks ago, and if they're the same today, we can move on and get to practice on something else. But if they're not, that means we got to practice them at least one more time. And honestly, I don't know that we have time for that, especially with the hiccup of the truck. Basically, if they're not good, we got to practice them again, which means we can't practice something else, which means we've only got so many weekends till the big contests. But enough of that. Let's go. It's been a long time since I've done a competition chicken video on the channel, and back then we were cooking thighs. Now we cook legs because I like them better. So here's some chicken legs that we have going on today. We got to get that tested in. Now these came from quarters because my local store didn't have just the drummies, so that's fine. That's sort of old school competition chicken legs, but there are a few here that they didn't butcher up perfect. So like this one, the skin is pretty short. It's going to shrink up. But I mean, that's okay because it's not like I bought enough to do a full competition with. Like, literally, I bought 9. I'm going to cook 9. There are honestly 2 here that wouldn't go with me to a competition, but they'll still eat good. I'm cooking because you got them. We're not going to waste. On that topic, because I bought quarters, I now have 9 thighs in my freezer that I don't know what I'll do with. I'll figure out something. You'll probably see it on the channel doing something else. But behind me, the gravity is coming up to temp, and we're going to get these on right about now. But before it goes on, of course, we got a handful here of our B&B Hickory. These are just B&B Hickory chunks that you buy at any hardware store. I get mine from Ace. Now this is the part where I should wear a glove. Wear a glove if you're doing this at home, but we're just gonna get them in there. I like to bank them to the side away from the flap because of the 980's flap issues. There we go. Give them a little bit. I like to put them in about 5 minutes before we start putting the chicken on so we get maximum smoke. We're ready. 5 after, sticking to that comp schedule. Here we go. Chicken goes on. That's all we need. Pretty chicken legs. So you might wonder, why am I practicing chicken legs on a random Sunday morning when my competition's busted? I'm not going next weekend. What are we doing out here? So here's why. Basically, we're going to the Jack, we're going to the Royal. It's our first time, it's our first year in Masters. We've got 2 grands, but they were at small competitions. All the smart money says we don't really do anything. And if that's the case, I'm totally fine with it. Like, if that's how it falls, totally fine with that thing. But we have some things in our control, and that is how much research, how much practice we do. A lot of the big names, they get their practice in because they compete every week. I don't have that kind of money to sink into this yet. Honestly, ever since the last competition, we've practiced every weekend. And when I'm not filming, cooking barbecue is not that big of an ordeal for me. There's a little bit of extra stuff because of the full competition, everything to the nines. But yeah, I figure one of these quick little videos, I'll bring you along and show you how I do competition chicken legs. Now the main focus today is this practice, not necessarily this video, so you'll have to pardon me while I speed through some of this. Basically, we're going to pan them up with some butter like everybody else does. There's a mixture of Parquet and Kerrygold in there. If you don't like Parquet, I'm sorry, but it's easy. I'm going to fit them in there as best I can. When I practice, I usually have like 9 or 10, and only 8 make the pan, so this one little guy is going to go off and stay on the rack. It'll just cook the whole cook on the char grill. It'll be good eating. We'll put some buffalo sauce on it at the end. But yeah, cover it back up with foil and then back on the smoker. There's really nothing to cooking competition chicken. You just kind of got to find the little things that work with your smokers. Now, I normally don't probe my chicken, but I'm going to probe them today because I probed them last time. I had a buddy tell me to take them off at 2 or 3, and they were really good last time. So we're going to try that again today. Last time, 2 or 3 actually married up with my exact timeline I always use with chicken. Today, however, we hit it about 15 minutes early, which is a less than ideal dilemma, and here's why. I now have to make the decision, do I pull them right now at 2:03, and that becomes my new standard, or do I let them go for longer the way I've been doing it all year? The stakes are, if I guess wrong either way, we're going to have to retest. But whenever you test, you always have one variable that you're testing. Or ideally, it's one variable. And today the one variable was the temperature. So we're gonna pull it. And we're gonna let it chill out here until the normal timeline stuff comes up. When that time comes, it's nothing more than just dunking the chicken back on the rack. A little bit of our special finishing dust that we'd made up. A little bit of time to set the sauce. And it looks pretty right now. There are some things that if we were at a competition I would do to make it a little prettier, but for just testing purposes, what I need, this works. Okay, here we go. You're gonna see some silliness. Before I do this, know that I like my cooking. I probably like this, no matter what I say. So here we go. Chicken leg. Oh, there we go. Okay, straight up that was a little bland. It was also not quite tender enough. When I gambled and took that off about 10-ish minutes early, I should have trusted my gut, should have left it on there. Chicken is one of those things that's such a fast cook that, yeah, sometimes you can go by internal temperature, but if you've got it probed in the wrong spot, being a small cut of meat, it can really throw you off, and today it got me. Now the tenderness probably adds to the fact that it was bland, because it's hard to describe, but there's a thing with meat that until you get it all the way tender, you get all of that fat rendered, you get everything nice and juicy and moist. How do I say this? So something can look juicy, but if it's not tender, it's not going to feel juicy. And then there's another thing that when you fully render something and make it tender, it tastes better. As in, more things rendered, you have more flavor there now. Today there was plenty of moisture if you looked at the meat, but by the mouthfeel you could tell that it was tight, and it didn't taste as good as it did 2 weeks ago. So now we have a problem. We're getting close to the big dates. Everything should be dialed in. I played with it today, got it wrong. I think I know what it is, but I'm not positive, so that means I'm going to do another cook when I really don't have time for that. That, coupled with losing the judges' input from the competition that we were going to do this coming weekend, causes a problem. I might see if I can get some judges to come to the house next weekend so that I don't have to waste the weekend. We'll see. I'll let you know what happens then, but if you're not sure why this is a big deal, watch this video. Let's go talk about it.